Good morning out there, traders. It is June 11th, 2024, and welcome to the Apteros Daily Market Insight. Let's dive into our recap, and then we'll update our session plan and levels for today. So, taking a look at what was going on yesterday, essentially it was a pretty neutral day across the board. We weren't really looking for anything in particular in terms of, a bias or any type of, line in the sand with a clear bias kind of thing. We did have a line in the sand here in the center that we were paying attention to as just, a straightforward kind of binary um, area that we were monitoring during the session, with scenario one being holds below, scenario two being holds above. And it was just one of those days where we essentially had some clarity on the lower time frames with an obviously rotational or balanced market, but the upper time frames just weren't in any kind of good locations to add any real confluence or any real clarity to the narrative. So with this kind of situation in mind, the advice usually is just to keep your expectations, kind of small and trade, within these neutral areas and neutral levels. And what we ended up seeing yesterday was kind of this high here heading down into a general target area here for this neutral zone, this neutral reference, then a pullback all the way up and through here. No real inflections from our line in the sand there, no real turns, no real holds or anything like that. So no major opportunity there to the short side on the acceptance picture there. Then we get up through that area. We start to hold above. Now we're looking to the upside more or less in scenario two. Get some great holds here kind of throughout the day, going right into target areas and just kind of stopping there. Short-term stuff, short-term type of environment, but, still opportunity there off of our line in the sand as the market kind of fluctuated around it a little bit, which, in all honesty, on a neutral day kind of like this, is not something that's unexpected overall in the plan. So now looking at today, we have more clear balance today. So we have a pretty straightforward scenario contextually for us now. Scenario one is going to be a hold inside of this zone, so kind of staying rotational, staying very balanced inside of this area. If we end up seeing scenario two, which at this point I'm just going to call scenario two the breakout scenario, right? So scenario one is that balance remaining in this area type of thing. Scenario two is going to be the breakout scenario where we end up seeing the market kind of leave behind this rotational area. And the general targets here I've outlined in the pathway, where this would be the target for the upside. This would be our first target, really, for the downside, because if we get inside of this neutral level here, this next area is probably on the docket to be tested. And then, of course, a continuation of the downside for a stretch target even lower down to this neutral reference a little bit further. So it's kind of one of those things where if we go to the upside, we have a little bit more of a clear pathway to targets out here. On the downside, we have some neutral references that we have to work our way through to get to the full target if the downside materializes here with breakout scenario two. But otherwise, the what is picture remains rotational. It remains so far inside of this. So we'd have to see a pretty clear shift out of this area to look at scenario two at all. Otherwise, we would just kind of remain in scenario one. Possible wicks, up above these areas here, something to pay attention to for stop runs and so forth. So that is pretty much our plan and analysis overall with what we're seeing here in the ES today. It's balanced in nature on the shorter time frames, and that's kind of where our context is leading us for today. Trade well, mind your risk, and let's get after it.